Hello, this is Lindsay Konzak, editor of Modern Distribution Management and MDM.com, and I'm here talking today with Brent Grover of Evergreen Consulting about succession planning. Brent, a longtime contributor to MDM, is an NAW Institute Fellow, the author of 6 NAW books, and a former distribution industry CEO. Brent's firm, Evergreen Consulting, specializes in strategy formulation and execution, as well as in pricing optimization and profitability improvement. Welcome, Brent.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Well, let's start by defining succession planning. Why is it important for distributors, and when should it be done?
I'm going to start off, Lindsay, by mentioning something that Jim Collins talks about, which I think is great, which is level 5 leaders. And because most of us have read enough of Jim Collins' work to understand what level 5 leaders are, this is the type of leader contrasted with a level 4 leader who is determined that he or she will not only lead a very successful organization, but they will turn that organization over to another leader to succeed them, to continue the success of the organization, and to hopefully to take it to new and even higher places. So I'd like to just start off by saying that I think a lot of people are great at running their companies, at leading their companies, but not all people are great at setting it up for the next leader. So that to me is what this idea of succession is all about.
Okay. Why is it important for distributors to think about this topic?
We're going to start off with looking at management succession as opposed to ownership succession. Maybe ownership succession will be part 2 of our conversation. The management continuity applies naturally if we're talking about a company that's privately owned or publicly held, either way. So in the case, though, of the family-owned business, which is, in the case of distribution companies, pretty much the prevalent form of ownership, except for the very largest companies, the family has the challenge, if they want to keep management, if you will, in the family, to bring along successor or successors who have the right combination of what I think is 3 things. They have, like you'd look for in any other good employee, they have the right set of talent, chemistry, and experience. And talent is, to me, is a God-given quality, and chemistry, which I'm really thinking of people skills there, is also pretty much innate. The one thing we have control over is experience, and my feeling about the experience factor is that the employee, whether it's a management trainee or a future management leader from the family or from outside the family, that experience can be gained on the job. So I have a sort of a different view of the idea of bringing in a family member, let's say after that individual's worked for 3 years in another company. That seems to be pretty much the standard viewpoint. My contrarian view is that 3 or 5 or whatever number of years of experience early on it's wonderful if it can be gained at the company itself and not necessarily at an outside organization, providing that experience is the right kind of experience at the company. And that means, to me, for a family member, getting the opportunity to do what I would say is line-type positions, to do work in line positions and not staff positions, work that is measurable, where people can see the individual's success, including sales positions and branch management positions, as opposed to the family member, the future management leader, going into a staff position. It could be, in purchasing. It could be in the information systems area. It could be in human resources. It could be in finance. That's all great training, but it doesn't generate a track record of success that I think the individual needs in order to feel competent and confident. And I think that the rest of the company, to be feeling that this is the right leader for the future, needs to see that this individual has a track record of success. I've addressed the question of competency, but I'd also like to mention 2 other ingredients. I'm thinking like a consultant right now with a Venn diagram. Think of the 3 overlapping circles. One of those circles would be competence. There are 2 more, though, I want to address. One is economics. The individual who's coming into the position in any business, but especially a family business, has to recognize that the company has a certain amount of ability to compensate employees, including top management, and that has to be in sync with the individual's need or perceived need for income and also their level of ambition, because a business is not an unlimited source of treasure, naturally. There's a strong need, especially in distribution businesses, to reinvest profits in the business for future growth and success of the company. So the future leaders have to accept the limitations as well as the ability of the business to fulfill their economic dreams. And another circle in this Venn diagram, these overlapping circles that I want to mention, is passion, which of course is the most inanimate of the three between competency and economics. But passion can become the most important because the individual who's going to run the business, or any individual who's going to run an organization, has to have a passion for three things: a passion for the company itself, they have to have a passion for hard work, and they have to have a passion for the art of leadership. And missing those ingredients, even a very competent person who's economically satisfied with the opportunity, even that very wonderful individual, without the right passion for the company, for the work, and the passion for the leadership art itself, they probably won't be successful, Lindsay.
Okay, so those are the kind of the key elements that distributors should keep in mind when looking at management continuity. Is that correct?
Yes. As far as family management continuity is concerned, if we're talking about non-family management, there are some other elements that come into play, because we're talking about family, we're assuming there's going to be some ownership of the business on the part of the family member who's managing it. Non-family management often doesn't have any ownership, and my feeling is that the non-family members need to attract and retain and motivate the right people. The company needs to provide some sort of, I'm going to call it quasi equity, because what I'm thinking of is phantom stock or a non-qualified deferred compensation plan. That means in addition to the company's retirement program. And I think the company is often going to be in a position where it wants to provide an employment agreement for this high-level individual who's not a family member, not an owner, who's in management, in order to provide enough of a degree, let's say, of interest in the company's future success that it goes beyond the regular compensation package, and it gives them some of the elements of ownership that align that individual with the business, because if it's the right person, you want them naturally to do a great job, you want them to stay with the company, and also in the event the company were up for sale, or if a buyer or prospective buyer appeared to buy the company, you don't want the non-family management people to be threatened by the possibility of the company being sold. So for them to have that level of incidence of ownership, I think it has to be provided, but I'm not recommending giving stock certificates away. I think that can be very complicated. I think quasi-ownership can be just as effective.